The cameras were rolling live when celebrity journalist Marcus Reed called Michael Jackson a freak show who corrupts children. What Michael did in the next 4 minutes didn't just destroy Reed's career. It changed how the media treated celebrities forever, and a famous TV host who watched from backstage later said it was the most powerful moment she'd ever witnessed on television. But the most devastating part was yet to come. It was September 1995, Chicago's Harpo Studios. Michael Jackson had agreed to appear on America Tonight with Marcus Reed, one of the most watched talk shows in the country. The interview was supposed to promote his new album, History, but Reed had other plans. Marcus Reed was the king of gotcha journalism, a 48-year-old former tabloid reporter who'd built his TV career on ambushing celebrities with uncomfortable questions. His show thrived on controversy, confrontation, and the public destruction of famous people. Reed had been planning this interview for months. Ever since the Jordan Chandler allegations, he'd been obsessed with exposing Michael Jackson. Tonight, with 15 million viewers watching live, Reed intended to humiliate the king of pop on national television. Michael arrived at the studio with his usual small entourage. His publicist, Sarah Martinez, was nervous. "Michael, Reed's been saying some terrible things about you in the press. Maybe we should cancel." But Michael was tired of running, tired of letting other people control his narrative. "No, Sarah. It's time to face this head-on." That's when everything started to go wrong. Reed's research team had prepared a devastating lineup of questions, not about music, not about art, but about every allegation, every rumor, every piece of gossip that had ever been printed about Michael Jackson. The interview began normally enough. Reed smiled his practiced TV smile and welcomed Michael to the show. But within minutes, the tone shifted dramatically. "Michael," Reed said, leaning forward with predatory intensity, "let's talk about what people are really wondering. These allegations about inappropriate behavior with children. How do you respond to parents who say you're a danger to their kids?" Michael's face remained calm, but his hands tightened slightly. "Marcus, those allegations were investigated thoroughly. No charges were ever filed because there was no evidence of wrongdoing." Reed smirked. "But you paid money to make it go away, didn't you? Innocent people don't usually write checks." Marcus Reed's agenda was becoming crystal clear. Michael took a breath. "Sometimes, Marcus, the cost of fighting lies is higher than the cost of ending them. That doesn't make the lies true." But Reed wasn't finished. He'd been building to this moment for months. "Let's be honest, Michael. You're a 37-year-old man who invites children to sleep at your ranch. You've had multiple plastic surgeries that have completely changed your appearance. Your behavior is bizarre, your lifestyle is weird, and parents are right to be concerned." The studio audience shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't an interview anymore. This was a public execution. "You won't believe what happened next." Michael Jackson sat perfectly still as Reed continued his assault. "Your own family members have said you're strange. Your father says you've lost touch with reality. Face it, Michael. You're not the cute kid from the Jackson 5 anymore. You're a freak show who corrupts children and pretends it's art." The words hit the studio like a physical blow. Camera operators looked up from their equipment. Producers in the control room went silent. Even Reed's own staff seemed shocked by the viciousness of the attack. Michael Jackson stared at Marcus Reed for what felt like an eternity. When he finally spoke, his voice was so quiet the boom operator had to adjust levels. "Marcus, can I ask you something?" Reed, sensing weakness, leaned back smugly. "Of course." That's what I'm here for. Do you have children? The question caught Reed off guard. What does that have to do with anything? Do you have children? Michael repeated, his voice still gentle but somehow more powerful. Yes, I have 2 sons, but I don't see how that's relevant to... Wait, don't miss this crucial moment. Michael leaned forward slightly. What are their names? Reed hesitated. That's private. My family isn't part of this interview. Their names, Marcus. Tyler and Jake. Look, Michael, I'm asking the questions here. Tyler and Jake, Michael repeated softly. How old are they? 12 and 9. But this isn't about my family. This is about your inappropriate... Michael held up his hand, and somehow, incredibly, Marcus Reed stopped talking. 12 and 9, Michael said, his voice carrying a weight that seemed to fill the entire studio. The same age as many of the children who come to Neverland. Children who are sick, Marcus. Children who are dying. Children who just want to feel normal for a few hours. The studio was dead silent now. Every camera was focused on Michael Jackson, but he seemed to be speaking directly to Marcus Reed's soul. When Tyler and Jake watch this interview tomorrow, Marcus, what do you want them to see? Do you want them to see their father destroying a man on national television? Or do you want them to see their father seeking the truth? Reed's face had gone pale. This wasn't how the interview was supposed to go. Michael Jackson was supposed to break down, get angry, storm off the set. Instead, he was turning the tables with devastating precision. Now you're about to see something legendary. Michael Jackson stood up slowly. He walked closer to Reed, not threatening, just present, powerful. Marcus, you called me a freak show. You said I corrupt children. But let me tell you what really happens at Neverland. Michael's voice grew stronger with each word. Last month, a little girl named Amy visited. She has leukemia. She's 8 years old and she's going to die, Marcus. Do you know what she wanted to do? She wanted to ride the Ferris wheel. Just once. Just to feel like a normal kid. The camera was tight on Michael's face now. There was pain there, but also a fierce dignity. We rode that Ferris wheel together, Marcus. She laughed for the first time in months. Her mother cried tears of joy. And when Amy left Neverland that day, she wasn't thinking about cancer. She was thinking about how high she'd been, how beautiful the world looked from up there. Reed tried to interrupt. That's very touching, but... I'm not finished. Michael's voice cut through Reed's words like a blade. This is where everything changed forever. Michael Jackson walked back to his chair, but he didn't sit down. He stood behind it, his hands resting on the back, looking directly into the camera. You want to know who the real Michael Jackson is? I'm the man who spent 20 years of his life giving everything I have to children who have nothing. I've donated over $100 million to children's charities. I've visited hospitals in 30 countries. I've held dying children in my arms and sung to them as they took their last breaths. His voice cracked slightly, but he continued. You call me a freak show, Marcus, but I've never hurt a child. I've never taken anything from a child except maybe their pain for a few precious moments. Can you say the same? Reed was speechless now, but Michael wasn't done. Every plastic surgery you mock was because I looked in the mirror and saw my father's face. A man who beat me, who called me ugly, who told me I was worthless. Every change I made to my appearance was an attempt to escape the face of my abuser. The studio was tomb silent. Some audience members were crying openly. You want to humiliate me on national television? Fine. But know this, While you're sitting in your comfortable studio making money by destroying people, I'm out there actually helping children, actually making a difference, actually using whatever platform I have for something good." Michael Jackson walked directly up to Marcus Reed's desk. He leaned down, his voice just loud enough for the microphones to catch. "Marcus, your sons Tyler and Jake are going to see this interview. They're going to see how their father treats people. They're going to learn from your example. Is this the man you want them to become?" Reed's face was ashen. His hands were shaking. Michael straightened up and looked directly into the main camera. "To anyone watching who has ever felt different, ever felt alone, ever felt like the world was against them, you are not a freak show. You are not worthless. You are loved, you are valuable, and you have something beautiful to offer this world." He paused, his eyes finding Reed one more time. "Even you, Marcus. Even after what you've done here tonight, you're still capable of being better than this." And then Michael Jackson walked off the set, leaving Marcus Reed sitting alone at his desk, exposed and humiliated in front of 15 million viewers. The silence in the studio lasted for nearly 30 seconds, an eternity on live television. Finally, Reed managed to stammer, We'll be right back after these messages." But America Tonight never came back from commercial that night. The show went directly to a rerun of the evening news. By the next morning, the interview was the most talked about television moment of the decade. But not for the reasons Marcus Reed had intended. Instead of destroying Michael Jackson, Reed had revealed his own cruelty and smallness. The video clip of Michael's response went viral before viral was even a concept. Newspapers around the world ran editorials condemning Reed's ambush journalism. Advertisers began pulling their sponsorships from America Tonight. Within 6 months, Marcus Reed's show was canceled. Reed himself became unemployable in television. The man who had tried to destroy Michael Jackson had destroyed himself instead. Years later, when Tyler and Jake Reed were in college, they both wrote public letters apologizing for their father's behavior that night. They had indeed watched the interview, and it had shaped their understanding of how not to treat other human beings. Tyler became a social worker, dedicating his life to helping troubled children. Jake became a documentary filmmaker, focusing on stories of resilience and hope. Marcus Reed never worked in television again. He spent his remaining years in obscurity, forever known as the man who tried to ambush Michael Jackson and got destroyed by grace, dignity, and truth. Michael Jackson never spoke publicly about the interview, but those who knew him said it was one of his proudest moments, not because he had defeated an enemy, but because he had spoken his truth with love instead of anger. That night in Chicago, Michael Jackson proved that the most powerful weapon against hatred isn't more hatred. It's truth spoken with dignity and compassion. Marcus Reed tried to destroy Michael Jackson with lies and cruelty. Instead, Michael showed the world how to defeat bullies without becoming one. The interview became a turning point in celebrity media treatment and proved that grace under fire is the ultimate victory. If you had been in Michael's position, how would you have handled those 4 devastating minutes?